We're on 6.1 and we're going to do the page called Try These Now. We've already looked at the video, or in the other video, I already looked at how to do the equation with lines. So what these Try Now pages are for is for you to practice to make sure that you can do it again. The instructions say find the equation of the lines in y equals mx plus b form. So the equation, we always know what the equation is. The equation of a line is this. So we want y equals mx plus b. It's the equation of the line. Looks like this, and it's going to start with y equals, so never forget your y equals part, and then mx plus b. And remember, when we do this equation, we are always filling in the m part and the b part. We are always finding m and b. We're leaving y and x alone in the equation. We're always going to fill in the m, and we're going to fill in the b. All right, so from there, m is negative 2 over 5, and it's going through the point 6, negative 7. So you can see now I'm not giving you the chart. So on the previous videos that we had, I was giving you a chart. So now I'm not going to give you the chart. So you have to know I'm always looking for m, which we already have. So I'm just going to highlight that and go, okay, I have the m. So I've got that part. I need to find b. So I have m, I need b. So I'm going to say find b. I like to have a title. Okay, so you want to say what you're doing. So before, like I said, in the other videos I had these boxes where we said find b. I'm not going to have that anymore, so you're going to have to put your own title. So you're going to put find b. Then you're going to put down the equation, y equals mx plus b, and you're going to fill this in. This is x, and this is y. It's always in alphabetical order, so it will always be an x, y order form, right? So this is your brain thinking. You don't have to write this, but it's always in x, y order. I always think of it as like alphabetical order, x, y, z. So x, then y. This will go in for the x. This will go in for the y. You don't have to show the arrows, but I'm showing you what I'm doing. And we're trying to find b. So I want the title. So you're going to put the title, find b. You're going to write the formula. So you're going to write the formula. So now I'm showing you how to do it without the boxes set up for you. And you're going to put this in. So that's my first line. My next line, I'm going to put in the x here and the y here. So I'm going to go negative 7. M, I'm also going to put in. So I'm going to substitute that in. So this m, this goes in for here, to this m part here. So the m is negative 2. I move the negative to the top. It's easier to work with on the top, over 5. So see, I move the negative to the top here. Negative to the top. It's easier to use when you move it up there. Put the slope in there. And when they're beside each other, when you have two variables beside each other, that's telling you to multiply. So we're going to go beside it. We're going to put bracket 6, and that means multiply. And then plus b. So this means you want to multiply. So whenever I have a whole number with a fraction and you're multiplying, I always tell my students to put it over 1. Okay, and that helps you figure out what you're going to do in the next step. So here, the next step is going to be numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. You're always going to do the multiplication next in the next step. So I'm going to write down now negative 7 equals, and then numerator times numerator is negative 12 over 5 plus b. All right, and then we always do the multiplication. Then my next step is always going to be to move this back over to the other side and isolate the b, because that's what my goal is. So remember, my title says find b, so we want to isolate b, move this one over. When it crosses the equal sign, it's going to become the opposite. When you run out of room this way, you're going to put a big sweeping arrow and start a new column. You need to learn this year how to set up your questions and how to set up your answers in proper mathematical form. I want equal sign. You're watching how I do the equal sign here. And there's no equal signs here. If you have double equal signs, you'll lose marks. So no equal signs here, only the equal signs in the middle. Try to line them up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try. Then I do a big swooping arrow when I want to start a new column. This is the format that you want to do so that when you're answering questions that people can follow it. Okay, even if you go to university, they're going to say when you do assignments and such, they want to be able to read your answer. It's not just getting to the answer, but it's how you get to the answer. You're telling the story. You're saying this is what happened, then this is what happened, then this. You're trying to tell the story. So my next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to bring this to the left side. So you're going to go negative 7. That becomes plus 12 over 5, and you leave the b on the right side. That's what we're trying to solve. So I brought this over to be the 7, made it positive. When I have whole numbers and fractions, I always say, then I want you to put this over 1, okay? And then we want to do lowest common denominator. So lowest common denominator, that's my brain. So everything in the bubble you don't have to write, you're just remembering that in your brain, which will be 5. So I'm going to multiply by 5, the top and the bottom, and we're going to get negative 35 over 5 plus 12 over 5 equals b. Some people don't write that step, and they go right and they add it together, but I'm going to write that step so that I can do negative 35 plus 12, which would be negative 23. So negative 23 over 5 equals b. So I've got that, and then now all I have to do is put it together and write my conclusion. So my conclusion is always going to be grabbing the m and the b. So I have the m here, and now I have the b, and I'm going to put it into a nice little concluding sentence. You don't have to put a little therefore, but sometimes I like to do a therefore because it makes me feel like I'm concluding, like I've finished the question. It's like satisfying. So I'm going to go y equals, and then m is negative 2 over 5, so I like to put the negative on the top. You have to put the x in the middle. Okay, so one more time. I do my x's funny there, sorry. It looks a little funny, but I do them kind of in that funny shape there, but you want to put it in the middle. Not too far at the bottom, and I don't want it really at the top. The top is not bad, but the bottom is wrong. Okay, just completely wrong. So don't put it there, so try to put it right in the middle. And then the b, I don't want you putting plus minus, and I said this in the other video, I just want minus 23 over 5. So I don't want plus minus, so I'll just note that down. It's the same thing, but I don't want plus minus 23 over 5, so not that. Okay, I just want you to basically clean this up. Instead of plus minus 23 over 5, just make it minus 23 over 5. And that's it. Okay, so let's try it again. So trying it again, this question says through the point. So same instructions, find the equation of the line in y equals mx plus b form through these 2 points. Now remember, there's always 2 parts to an equation of line, m and b. The same as what we did up here, m and b. But for this question, I did not give you m. So you're going to have to add one more step to it. So I'm going to say find m. Make sure you have a title. To find m, I need to use the equation. So the equation, so again, I want you to title this. All your stuff has to be organized. So you're going to put find m, and then you're going to go m equals, and write the equation. And try to put this right in the middle. So notice how I'm putting the equals, and then I put my line, right? You're going to write your equation. The equation of what? The equation of slope. y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Now I've mentioned this before in the other videos, but these are subscript. So subscript. You will be marked wrong if you write it like this. So not that, not squared. So it's not at the top, it's subscript. So see how it's below? It's numbering it. It's saying y2 and y1, not y squared. So not up here. So it's not an exponent. So not exponent. Right? So that's your brain going, making sure I write it right. You will lose marks every single time if you write it wrong. Okay, and again, that'll be for in grade 11 and 12 and grade 10 and such too. Okay, so make sure you write it right. I want to see the formula. We always want to see the title and the formula. So you're telling the story. First, I want to find m. This is the story. I want this one here as well. I want that to be lowercase m. Put all of this stuff here, and then we're going to fill it in. What am I going to fill in? These guys. You choose whichever point is first and whichever point is second. It doesn't matter which is 1 or 2, as long as it matches. So if this is point 1, this is x1, y1. If this is point 2, it's x2, y2. And you can flip them around. So you can either way, mathematically, it'll simplify to be the same answer. So it doesn't matter if you do y2, x1, y1, x2, y2, or backwards. Okay, so either one will work. So now you're going to plug these guys in. So my next step is taking these ones and plugging it in. So it'll be y2, which is 2. So see how I set up my equals and put the line first. y2 is 2 minus, and y1 is 6. x2 minus x1, so it'll be negative 2 minus negative 8. Negative 8, like that. So it's minus negative 8. You do need the brackets, so all the form and such that we taught you at the beginning of the course with numeracy, all that stuff, you need to have the brackets there. Again, that's communication marks off if you don't do that right. So we're going to keep going. 2 minus 6 would be negative 4. Negative 2 minus 8 would be a 6. You always reduce your fractions. So A for always, R for reduce, F for fraction. So I'll put that on your page. Usually when I mark things, I put ARF beside it if you don't reduce your fraction. Or I might say reduce, right? So that means reduce. Okay. Which means you're going to divide the top and the bottom by the same amount. And in this case, 2 works, so negative 2 over 3. You don't have to show this. Some people go, do I have to show what I'm dividing by? I guess not. I mean, for me, I'm accepting if you kind of reduce it yourself. Your teacher might want you to show that one, right? For grade 9, that you might want to show that. You can check. For me, I think at this point, you can divide the top and bottom by 2 in your head. All right, so that's my m. The two parts for the equation of a line, so remembering this, it's y equals mx plus b. I always want m and b. So I found my m now, I need to find b. So I have another title, so I'm going to go find b. So find b. So make sure you have a title. So yes, we always want to say what we're doing, so it's a little title of what you're doing. I write down my formula first, y equals mx plus b. Yes, you have to write it every single time. Right? It's like your title, and then you're telling me what's happening, and you're going to sub in. So you're going to sub in this m. The m is going to go into the m here, and you're going to choose either one of those 2 points. Doesn't matter which one you choose. Mathematically, it'll simplify to be the same b either way. Okay, so either one. I'll just choose a. Right? So I'm going to grab a here, and that'll be my x and y, and then my slope here. So it's going to take this one here, and I'm going to put it into my equation. So y is 6, m is negative 2 over 3, x is negative 8. I put that in a bracket because it's multiplication. When the m is beside the x, it means multiplication, plus b. Whenever I have whole numbers mixed up with fractions, I always put the whole number over a 1. You can put the 6 over a 1 as well if you want now, or you can do it later. Then my next step will always, for these questions, be multiply. Okay, so I'm going to go 6 equals numerator times numerator, so 16. Denominator times numerator, so 3. Then my next step for these questions is always bring this over so I can isolate my b. Remember, your title is find b, so you want b by itself. Bring it over. The 6 stays where it is. I'm bringing this over. It's positive, so it becomes minus 16 over 3 equals b. And look, when I have whole numbers with fractions, I put it over 1. Okay, I'm going to pause here for a second and notice. I have formula and title, and I have equals all the way down. I have formula, title, and I have equals through the middle. No double equals, so don't put, oh, and this had to have the m. Don't put extra equal signs here, only along the middle. You will lose communication marks all the way through forever and ever if you have the wrong communication style. Okay, and we're going to keep going with this. So now I have 6 over 1 minus 16 over 3. I need lowest common denominator. You don't have to write that. That's your brain thinking that. Everything I do in these bubbles is your brain. So 3 and 3. So that will get me 18 over 3 minus 16 over 3. So that would get me 2 over 3 equals b. And then all I need now is my conclusion. So therefore, and you don't have to put the therefore symbol, but I like it too. Makes me feel like I'm concluding something, like I said before. Y equals, so make sure that it starts with y equals. Don't lose this, like don't forget that it's an equation. M is this one, so negative 2 over 3. Remember what I said about the x? I want the x put in the middle of this line. Middle, when it's a fraction, I want it in the middle. I'm going to highlight that. So middle, okay, not at the bottom. Middle or closer to the top is fine, but never at the bottom. And b is 2/3, so plus 2/3. And that's it.